Hey there, folks. Welcome to another, or I guess the very first, gameplay commentary. Gonna be playing just a little bit of Binding of Isaac today. And the topic of discussion for today's video is going to be how I deal with social fatigue. Now, we've all felt it, that burnout from time to time. I know I'm no stranger to it. That feeling, you just want to stay inside, talk to no one, maybe cut up with your cat, but we all know what it's like. For some of us, it seems like the easiest thing in the world to deal with, but for me and for many other people, it's just kind of a rut that you can't escape from, you know. And it's no good. It's no good to be isolated and avoiding, human connection. So here are some of the ways that I deal with it. First and foremost, I always tell myself that it's important not to blame others. It seems like it's easy to put the blame on other people. By yourself, you don't feel too anxious, you don't feel too awkward, but it's only when you're around others that you feel that kind of social pressure. So it's really easy to just leverage that against them. But it's important to remember that no one is out to get you. No one is trying to bring you down. Nobody wants you to feel bad. We all struggle, of course, and sometimes it seems like people are just trying to get under your skin, push your buttons, but that's not the case. Even when it seems like that, you have to remember that at the end of the day, we're all human, and they might be having a bad day. They might be dealing with something that you don't see, that you don't observe, and they're not they're not dealing with anything that you haven't dealt with. And keep that in mind, that is your bridge to empathy. Even if an experience that they have or that you have is unique to you, or you feel like it's unique to you or to them, at the end of the day, every problem that we go through is rooted in the same emotional states. It's something that we can all share, these feelings of uncertainty, insecurity. So it's why it's always important to just be kind to one another. It's it's very easy to get lost in your own feelings, especially when you see somebody else getting lost in their own feelings and again seemingly being rude to you. And it's just important to remember that we need each other. And no matter how hard you're feeling, no matter how bad you're feeling, no matter how bad someone else is feeling around you, and no matter how much that makes you uncomfortable, just remember that we need one another. So it's important to treat each other in that sense, in the sense that without them, I couldn't do anything. It's easy to forget that sometimes, but you can't let yourself forget it. On to my second step, my second way of dealing with social fatigue. Kind of plays off of the first step of not blaming others. Second step, don't blame yourself. Some people are going to be more social than you, and that's okay. We're not all meant to be social butterflies. We're not all meant to get out there and make a bunch of friends and be the most popular guy or gal in the room. It's it's really easy to feel insecure and terrible about yourself when you feel like you're the awkward one in the friend group. You go to work and everyone seems to be talking and having a grand old time, but not you. And it makes you feel kind of lonely, makes you feel maybe a little bit inferior, but that's not, we can't measure ourselves by the level of social grace that we have. All that we need to worry about, going back to my first point, is being kind. So don't worry about being less social than other people. Don't measure yourself in that way, and don't compare yourself to other people. In that sense, we drain our batteries even more. And that's the enemy. And it's of utmost importance that we take that time and we don't compare ourselves to others. We just measure ourselves against our own goals, against our own motivations. And in that time, you'll find yourself recharging. You're going to feel more energized. You're going to feel that fatigue start to chip away slowly. Now, it is important to get out of your shell. You can't just recharge your batteries all day long. That's going to lead to an overcharge. It's going to lead to a lithium battery explosion. It's no good. So be ready to get out there. Be ready to say yes when someone invites you, to their house to hang out, to a party, to any kind of social gathering. Be ready to say yes. Don't be afraid to say yes just because you think that it's going to be too hard. It's important to put yourself out there, and ironically, being ready to say yes is going to help with that social fatigue. Knowing that you are confident enough to give it a shot, even if it's not going to work out, even if you're afraid it's not going to work out, that is important. But in the same vein, don't be afraid to say no. Only, you know yourself better than anybody else. Only you can say whether or not you're even prepared for the outing. So be ready to say yes, but don't be afraid to say no. And in that same vein, do not let others blame you. You can't blame others, you can't blame yourself, but you can't let others blame you either. That is where it's important to stand up for yourself. Now, I'm not telling you to go pick any fights. That's not the way. But do not let others blame you in a way that makes you blame yourself. Don't let their feelings of rejection or their own insecurity affect you. You can be sympathetic to them, and you should empathize with them, but you can't let them bring you down in that sense. We can't be responsible for each other in the way of social validation. We can be kind, we can be courteous, we can be attentive, but we can't be servants. And that's an important thing to remember. And leading off of that point, we come to my third and my final kind of method technique for dealing with social fatigue. Compartmentalize your social life. Now, this one, it sounds a little complicated, maybe. For some of us, it might be a little easier to navigate, where to put this person, where to put that activity, when to do this, when to do that. But it's important that you put everything in its proper place. Now, the ways that I do that are I engage with the people that I like, and I don't neglect them, but at the same time, I don't become codependent with them. It's really, really important to enjoy your independence. You have to be a social person. Like I said, we need each other, so it's not like it's optional. You have to be social. But don't subject yourself to engaging with people that hurt you or belittle you or mistreat you. I'm not saying to just cut out that one person in your friend group who seems to be kind of like a jerk, but understand that that's not how you're meant to be treated. So engage with the people that treat you well and are kind to you and courteous to you, and don't neglect them. They might be so nice that you think, oh, I can just do my own thing, and I don't have to worry about them. And while there is some merit to that, like I said, you have to enjoy your independence, but don't get so lost in that independence that you cut out people or you push them away. Because we need each other, and more importantly, we need kind people in our lives. So anyone that you like, go the extra mile for them every now and then. Really put yourself out there, as long as you're not draining yourself too far or sacrificing yourself to them, because you can't be codependent. Just work at having that healthy mutual relationship with them. And a good way to do that, to create that boundary, is to keep up with your daily responsibilities. Never, sacrifice the important things for others. It's really easy, for me at least, to lose myself in other people. I will give my all to them. I will put myself in a position where I end up being their kind of social caretaker, not with them asking. Very few people are actually going to take advantage of you like that. I found that I take myself, and I put myself in that position, which leads to burnout, and it's no one's fault but my own. So one of the ways that I limit doing that is I kind of take inventory of my own life, my responsibilities, and I just make sure I check all of those boxes, because when you're checking those boxes, you create a natural space, And then a natural rhythm occurs where you tend to yourself, you tend to your own garden, and then you find yourself like, hey man, I want to get out of here. I want to go talk to some people. I want to go see some people. So keep up with your own responsibilities, keep up with your own tasks, and everything kind of starts to fall into place. That is like the key to creating that healthy relationship, you know? Another thing that I find is really helpful in fostering a good relationship, good relationships in general, friendships, romantic relationships, even family relationships, is always be focusing on that self-growth factor. Don't be so worried about social clout. This still falls in a line with compartmentalizing everything. At least compartmentalizing your own social life. If you are focusing all the time on self-growth, it's really hard to put yourself in a position or to allow someone else to put you in a position of subservience or even just feeling bad. It's easy sometimes when you ignore your own self-growth for others to see you as weak, even subconsciously. I'm no psychologist, but I feel like it's just there in black and white. When you don't focus on growth and being strong and confident as a person, you're just asking for the wolves to descend onto you. So don't be so worried about social clout. Don't be so worried about popularity. That, tends to come naturally with confidence, and confidence tends to come naturally when you're focusing on just becoming the better you that you can imagine. And that goes into the self-growth. Imagine who you want to be. Imagine the kind of person you want to be. And you might find yourself the kind of person that others like being around, and that others find it easier to be kind to. And that leads into just the healthy balance that I've been talking about this whole time. And my last, like, kind of sub point into compartmentalizing is grow a strong home life as like that foundation for social success. It's easy for me sometimes to neglect that. I find, I observe it in others as well. They will neglect their own home, even if they live by themselves. They'll neglect their pets, or even just themselves. They'll neglect like the things at home that make them happy. And that's just the foundation of it all. Foundation of social success, the foundation of self-confidence. You really have to enjoy your home. You have to enjoy being home, and you have to be ready to, be alone sometimes. It's not good to dwell in loneliness, of course, but just being able to be alone and enjoy yourself is really important. Like it leads to that ability to not be so worried, not be, not have that fear of missing out. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be happy wrapped up, in your favorite blanket, eating your favorite snacks, and then watching a good movie. So don't neglect that stuff. Don't let anyone tell you that makes you like a subpar human. It's really valuable to enjoy your day and enjoy your night, and whether that day or night is spent with others or just by yourself. We're going to be alone. We're not always going to be around others. I'm married, and my wife and I have plenty of independent time, and that's a good thing. We spend lots of time with each other. We really enjoy each other's company, but we have different schedules sometimes. She works a schedule, I work a schedule. So we're alone sometimes, and it's just of utmost importance that your home life is good, is valuable, and fulfilling. So do stuff like pick out, some games or some movies to watch. Maybe go outside and work on your yard if you have one, if you're lucky enough to have one. Tend a garden, get some plants on for the inside of your house if you don't have a yard. If you've got a pet, really think about how you interact with that pet. And, just stuff like that. Just stuff that makes you feel human even when you're alone. Because at the end of the day, you're going to go home, you're going to lay down in your bed, and you need to enjoy it. You need to feel like it's where you belong. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for sticking around, for listening to my little, motivational speech. I think that we hold the keys to our own happiness and our own success, and we don't need to let social fatigue, this burnout from interacting with others, or this burnout from not interacting with others, from feeling afraid that you're not, affect us. Because there's a balance that we can reach. And I think that no matter how awkward you think you are, no matter how popular you want to be, you can find that fulfillment. You just have to look for it.